in the den of iniquity. Vicinity no pretty, calamity fi hit we any moment. What a pity. Tomorrow never certain. What was behind the curtain? The face of evil lurking with the shifty eyes averting. It's not a steady bubble that either pop or topple. Many will fall and stumble. Let the dozers gather rubble. From LA to Colorado, Guinea to Burkina Faso. Cannon could reach the towers and the troops will storm the castle. Hey, I say, run, run, come, make we get it. Because the peace that is bestowed upon the meek is overrated. So run, run, come, make we get it. Calling all your daughters and your sons, we come forget it. I say, run, run, come, make we get it. Because the peace that is bestowed upon the meek is overrated. Lord, run, run, come, make we get it. Calling all your daughters and your sons, we come forget it. With the rubble steady rising, and hearts are compromising. Convictions here are stifling, making evil appetizing. The fists are steady forming, and countenance is falling. Defenses are withdrawing, possibilities are falling. In these circumstances, evil will make advances. Pick up your sword and lances, and be sure to take your stances. Victory is never promised, the battle is upon us. Gather the brave and honest, and the righteous in your corners.
Ladies and gentlemen, word 'em up, 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 word 'em up. Lot of mercy. Welcome, welcome, welcome to another episode of Getting Ish Done with I Conductor Thunder. Is it 9:30? Is it 10? It doesn't matter. It's going to be Wednesday nights, okay, 9:30 or 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're here getting ish done, talking about getting ish done. And Dr. Thunder is somewhere without an avatar. Without a microphone until we verify that he indeed has one.
I got a microphone.
You got
I'm
a
here.
microphone. That is very good.
I got my phone.
Excellent. And today, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be talking about the career path. Okay, the 40-year career. You work, you retire, you get a gold watch. If you're a C-suite, you get a golden parachute to jump off while you screw the shareholders and all that kind of good stuff. And what's going on with that lately these days? But anyways, Dr. Thunder, what kind of week has it been for you? How are things otherwise going?
Yeah, the last several weeks have been quite busy, but I'm getting ish done. lots of stuff going on, but it's all pretty much is all positive. I had a big concert series. This band I play with last week. I played 4 concerts, and then tomorrow night I actually have my yesterday was my birthday, and tomorrow I'm playing at a club that I stream once a month from, and it's my birthday concert. So that's going to be happening. Getting geared up for that. Getting geared up for a bunch of other stuff too. Teaching and doing all kinds of stuff. And streaming crazy. So you know how we do it.
All right. So we're going to be sharing this video. We're going to be reviewing this video. And this video is going to be talking about the end of the 40-year career. What path, okay, does the typical productive life of people out there take these days? How is it quite different from, basically we know about the job hopping and certain other kinds of things. I think that LinkedIn has definitely changed the environment. We didn't have LinkedIn back in the day. Now it's just kind of assumed that, a couple of recruiters away is whatever other kind of job that you may be looking for. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, let's get right into this, talking about the tracks that were otherwise laid before you that are now changing.
Whenever you're 6, then you get sent in the kindergarten and school. And by the time you're 18, you come out and you go to college. By the time you get out of college, you get a job. And then you retire with whatever, 65 or so. And then you enjoy your retirement somewhere at a hot place, right? That's been the model of the past. That's not working. That is absolutely not working anymore in every respect.
Go to school, get good grades, get into college, become a professional, and work your way up the corporate ladder until you can retire with your savings or a pension. That's the plan for a lot of people, and despite what a lot of hustle bros on the internet might tell you,
now that's fucking insane.
It's a good plan if you can stick to it. 9-to-5 jobs are picked on a lot, usually by people that need a way to sell a get-rich-quick scheme. The standard 40-year professional career has let millions of people enjoy very comfortable lives free from the stress that comes with being in business for themselves. But that is all coming to an end. In just the last 24 months, we have experienced quiet quitting, quiet hiring, work shortages, and labor shortages.
Okay, so Dr. Thunder, I want to call your attention to something here that's a little troubling right from the start. It's not a big deal, actually. But they said, all these hustle bros talk crap about 9 to 5. Or talking crap about 9 to 5 is a way for people whom are trying to sell you something. Yeah, we get it. You know, the motivators out there, the motivational speakers, the motivation industrial complex, whatever it may be. And hopefully you can hear me. But basically, it first establishes that, hey, some of these hucksters out here are telling you crapping on 9 to 5. And then they immediately go to the realities of the situation, which is a lot. 9 to 5 is dying. They talk about the labor shortages and all these types of things, right? So what do you think that was about, Dr. Thunder? Why do it's like you're telling me that something is dying, but prior to that, you're like, oh, all these motivation bros are saying it's dying and they're just trying to sell you something.
So
It's
I
not
think
really a
this
big
is
deal, but I
actually,
wonder why they did that.
yeah, I think it's actually clever. And I've seen as much as, I mean, this is as much of the video as I've seen, right? But I'm going to predict that they were calling out quote unquote hustle bros as a way to create a sense of comfort by who's watching.
Mhm.
Like, so if you call that out, then it makes you feel more comfortable. Like, oh, okay, well maybe he's not trying to sell me something, because
Yes.
he just criticized folks, and because the video has the same kind of tone as somebody that would be trying to sell you something
Mhm.
right from the beginning. So then he quiets that by giving giving them a victim. Say so he gave us the victim. He said, oh, you take this one and then leave me alone, kind of a thing. Because what's going to happen is also, I predict that, say if somebody that's a 9 to 5 person, and say they're pretty traditional, and they've been the ones telling folks, just get you a college degree, go get you a job, get you a good job, and you'll be okay. This also sort of can quiet that. It'll quiet that person's skepticism too. So I think that's actually the strategy. I think that's what he's doing. It's a little clever, throw this in there, Plus, then he can sound hip because he said hustle bros, and that's the thing now, put bros at the end of something that you say.
All right. Let me take a couple of steps back here, but basically he is introducing us to the various, I would say,
business for them.
pointers, data points.
Done a lot, usually by people that need a way to sell a get-rich-quick scheme. The standard 40-year professional career has let millions of people enjoy very comfortable lives free from the stress that comes with being in business for themselves. But that is all coming to an end. In just the last 24 months, we have experienced quiet quitting, quiet hiring, work shortages, and labor shortages. What a lot of people aren't talking about, though, is how this is just the result of companies still trying to make outdated business models work.
He's still trying to develop trust. He wants you to let your guard fully down, and then he's going to come in and sell us something. I predict that's what's going to happen. I predict that's what's going to happen. Let's keep going.
Yeah, that's a good point. Some of the things he's saying here about the outdated and outmoded business model that the employers have not, shall we say, adjusted to. Quiet hiring, that's an interesting one. I haven't heard of that one before. I can kind of imagine one possibility of what it is. But I know quiet quitting, but quiet hiring, that's an interesting one. But basically, there's a general kind of like...
That's when you discourage government to build a wall, and then you hire illegals. It's quiet hiring.
The wall, it's kind of interesting that there was a recent kind of communique, if you will, from whatever executive department, federal executive department, the executive branch, right? Regarding the border, and they avoided using the word wall. Now they had to kind of contend, given the fact that, for example, Mr. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., right, and recently also Elon Musk went to the border and took live footage. I don't know if you've seen or heard of that, blah blah blah, of just people pouring in, right? People whom are lining up. They're coming from all kinds of countries, Guatemala, blah blah blah, and following the script to be quote unquote refugees or asylum seekers. And so it's kind of clear and blatant, like, okay, something needs to be done about the border. But in this particular document they released, they were like, oh, we need to put up barriers and this and that. Like, they didn't mention wall once, right? Because obviously, you kind of, Trump can't say anything correct, right? Because that whole thing of just killing the messenger, ignoring the message, regardless of how important the message is. And that's one message. And I'm not trying to make a wild turn into politics here, but I guess I'm already heading down that road.
That's already did it, man. You already did it.
I already did. So that's one thing, is the wall. The other thing is, the making of the not getting into new wars and the attempt at peace with it in the Middle East. Same from that same administration, right? And they actually did make some progress vis-a-vis, Saudi Arabia and certain other people kind of coming together, signing certain kinds of deals, blah, blah, blah. But regardless, though, we're talking about the fact that the employers are finding it difficult to embrace a particular kind of environment. This environment has a huge technological aspect in the sense that the ability for remote work to happen, and this remote work necessarily allows you to see a kind of a disaggregated organization, an organization that is now, you can kind of see its functions. It's not hidden within one building. You're like, okay, this email does this thing. That's to that person, the accounting department, and the marketing department is over there. Like, everyone's kind of remote. So you can kind of almost see like the innards, and things, as a result, employees start feeling more entrepreneurial. They're like, all that pomp and circumstance that you guys kind of are able to pull off on me when you have me in one building, talking to the same people, going to the same crazy break room or whatever the hell it is you do, has kind of shown me that, you know what, anyways, I hope I'm making sense. That's an aspect of what has changed, right? A technological aspect that allows people to kind of see a disaggregated organization, see the parts and the pieces, or understand where they fit and the value that they bring, hence the ability to demand more from the employers, which is one of the things that he mentioned. But anyways, let's go on.
Talking about, though, is how this is just the result of companies still trying to make outdated business models work in an age where workers can demand more from their employers. The establishment of the 40-year career is crumbling, and there are some employers and employees that are doing a great job taking advantage of it, and there are others that are suffering. The first trend is that despite pervasive stories about hustle culture and people making partner before the age of 30 while also building an outside business that dropships physical NFTs through the MySpace storefront, the average worker is not grinding. They are getting less ambitious. A Wall Street Journal article surveyed a range of businesses in demanding fields that are usually staffed by ambitious workers like law, business consulting, and marketing. The companies all reported challenges with getting their employees to go above and beyond, which is really corporate speak for working late and coming in on the weekends. A law firm told the Wall Street Journal reporters that typically they would have no problem getting junior associates.
He seems to be defining a problem that he's probably going to solve later, right? Regarding your wholesale speak, right? Now he's talking about, people are actually not grinding. They're not as motivated, right? He's going to end up selling you some motivation at the end at some point. But that is interesting, though, that he's saying, okay, all these hustle bros are out there. We got Gary Vaynerchuk telling you to work 27 hours a day, right? And all that kind of good stuff. But people are actually not doing the grind. Interesting. Do you have any thoughts about that statistic?
Well, it's interesting that he's still sort of criticizing hustle bros, but he's definitely a hustle bro. I mean, he's definitely a hustle bro. He sounds like a hustle bro. This is probably not his primary job. He's one of these cats that got some hustle stuff on the side. So it's interesting. but there is something to that whole the remote thing that really has changed the game. I was just thinking about earlier today. I streamed from a remote location. I'm at a remote location right now. And then I had a meeting. I had a meeting with faculty members from a remote location in a Zoom thing, also in my car. That has totally changed that's totally changed everything. Even just that one thing. And I think folks have to figure out how to make that pay. So say for instance, if ordinarily you meet with people in person, and I'm not ruling out meeting with people in person from time to time, but say if you have to drive to a location to meet with people, versus being able to meet with them virtually, and then therefore you could actually be somewhere else in a location where you actually do need to physically meet with people. It's like, I mean, you're like kind of doubling up what you can accomplish. It's just it's a different ballgame.
Shout out, indeed. And if you imagine the hotel bills, dinners, meeting rooms, and travel times saved as a result, and typically it's not immediately calculated, but it's a great way that companies are able to adjust to kind of recessionary situations. And companies typically don't go back to adding costs, right? Once you figure out a way to save costs, you're not just going to go add it back unless it is necessary for retention and stuff like that. But yes, it's definitely helping efficiency. There is a question though, because something just came to my mind in the sense that there's a kind of a argument about the percentage of people that this thing works for. Is it like 15%? So some people argue like, okay, maybe like 5% are actually better remote, because that is true. There's some people who are just work better remote. Right? You're probably one of those people. It's like, hey, isolation is great for these people. They're self-motivated. And then there's maybe like another 10% that they're just as good either way, and so on and so forth. But is there a 40% that suck remote, right? That need to be kind of corralled somewhere.
So here's the thing. This kind of video isn't for the normies, right? It's okay. No, okay, let me back up. It actually is presented like it's talking to a normie that couldn't pick up on some of those things that we pointed out already. Okay, so yeah. But what it is that we're talking about is as far as being able to cut costs, be at two places at once, so that you can accomplish more stuff, all of that kind of stuff. That isn't for that 40% that you're talking about. That 40% isn't going to do it anyway. So really, you are talking about this as a benefit for a small percentage of people, because most people aren't going to do the work necessary to actually take advantage of this.
Indeed, ladies and gentlemen, we continue.
Associates to do extra hours to make sure time-sensitive work was completed for their demanding clients. But now, new associates have started saying no to working weekends and late nights, which is forcing the partners to bring on more staff and do the extra hours themselves. Which, let me say this, as a former investment banking associate that has put in my fair share of weekends to suck up to a partner, this is one of the most beautiful things I have ever heard.
It's wonderful. It's marvelous. I'm squeak.
This kind of thing would never usually happen at places like this because elite legal and financial firms have an up or out policy with new associates, which means that within their first 2 years, they get promoted to senior associate or they get asked kindly but firmly to leave the firm. Unfortunately for the partners, they can't afford to get rid of new graduates because of worker shortages, so they have lost the threat of termination, and the reward of promotion isn't as appealing as it once was either. In the same article, an insurance firm told the Wall Street Journal of the difficulties they had been having with getting people to accept promotions. Managers often had to coax their
This aspect here that's being mentioned, the hierarchy that was created as an enticement, and within that hierarchy, you kind of push people along. Oh yeah, here's the next job, and blah blah blah. I think people have also seen through that and have found out that, hey, I don't want to go to management, perhaps, let's say, and work twice as hard to make less money. Yes, the money looks good on paper, but the amount of silly, soulless work that'll be done over there sucks. And I'm going to stay over here. And it may not be management, it may be a type of management, it may be a way of getting there, and so on and so forth. Or we can bring an old kind of trope of mine where I talk about you can want to be the general, okay? And then you may see, you know what, I don't like the general path. And I think more and more people are seeing that, like, hey, I don't want the general path because that is going to make me very much of a company man. People are not company men by definition because they're not spending as long in any particular company, right? There is a kind of a breaking up of that kind of loyalty or fealty to organizations. Hence, and they know that rising up in an organization just becomes more, it means becoming more of that organization, right? So they rather keep a little bit of autonomy and such and not accept promotions. That's an interesting aspect here but it does have a through line through everything else. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think that's true. Well, I mean, I agree with what you said. You know, something that I see in academia, and this is actually to the concern of upper administration. There's a number of professors that once they get tenure, okay, so if you're hired on the tenure track, say you're hired as an assistant professor, then you get tenure, then you're associate professor with tenure. And then you can get promoted to full professor. And this is a rank, it's not an indication of that you're doing something less substantively than a full professor. A full professor is going to get more money, and there's a couple more rights and things that they can weigh in on than an associate professor. But other than those things, which are things that only happen a few times a year, your job and your responsibilities are the same. I will say that if you ever want to be, like, say, a dean or college president, then those are all full professors. They all got there from being full professors. So there is a limitation on how high up in an institution you could go. Okay. But a lot of full professors don't want those additional administrative responsibilities. They just want to be able to do their research, and basically be able to weigh in on, be a little bit more vested in the institution, have a little bit more rights, a little bit more, clout, whatever. And once you get to full professor, it's cool because then it's not really anything that the institution can keep away from you, because because they don't share an opinion with you on some other issue or something. So there's some benefits to that. But you can also kind of see that the folks that don't want to go through whatever the additional process is, and they're just happy and satisfied doing what it is that they're doing, why they may not want to actually go through what's necessary and do what's necessary to get to that next level, because there is a stiffer competition, as it were. I mean, you have to have accomplished more stuff, a lot more stuff than getting tenure and being an associate professor. So But there are those that won't submit themselves to the process because they just don't want, they don't want to do that, and or they don't want to have to weigh in on any of these other issues. They just want to, they just want to teach their students. They just want to teach the classes they've been teaching. They just want that. Hey, it's just, you know. So,
Indeed,
but
sir.
yeah, but I was saying that to say that upper administration in a lot of these schools are they actually are sort of doing these surveys and stuff. They're actually asking some of the associate professors, why is it that you don't want to go up for full professor? These extensive questionnaires and stuff, and it's like some of them just don't want to do it. But there could be some impediments that maybe they think that they could reduce if they're not substantive, if they're just, nuisance or something. But yeah.
And we have a scene from The Wolf of Wall Street.
Because of worker shortages. So they have lost the threat of termination, and the reward of promotion isn't as appealing as it once was either. In the same article, an insurance firm told the Wall Street Journal of the difficulties they had been having with getting people to accept promotions. Managers often had to coax their staff into accepting more senior positions because the staff were preferring to stay in their current roles where they could manage their work-life balance. When workers are more afraid of being promoted than being fired, it's a clear sign that things are changing. So it's time to learn how money works to see why the 40-year career is dead and why that might be a good thing. This week's lesson was made possible by Course Careers, which is honestly the perfect partner for this topic. The 40-year career might be dead, but it's ushering in a new style of career that you can be prepared for with Course Careers. If you want to start a career...
Okay, hold up.
Jesus Christ, really? So he's really literally gonna start just advertising? I mean, come on, bro. This was not even subtle at all.
This is great. Okay, so, and what's interesting is this isn't even him directly selling. This is him getting some, revenue, like this, a sponsorship on his video by, or rather that, yeah, they're sponsoring his video. They're giving him some money for the appearance of their ad. So so he's selling that, but then he still hasn't even gotten to what he's really going to try to sell us. This is just like
Wow.
appetizer.
Just a little appetizer sale here for you about, was it Course Correct? Okay, cool. Course Correct in a world where, the 9-to-5 world is changing. Let's see.
They could manage their work-life balance. When workers are more afraid of being promoted than being fired, it's a clear sign that things are changing. So it's time to learn how money works to see why the 40-year career is dead and why that might be a good thing. This week's lesson was made possible by Course Careers, which is honestly the perfect partner for this topic. The 40-year career might be dead, but it's ushering in a new style of career that you can be prepared for with Course Careers. If you want to start a career in the technology industry, but don't have previous experience or a degree...
I'm not going to say anything, but I want to
career might be dead, but it's ushering in a new style of career that you can be prepared for with Course Careers. If you want to start a...
You see this picture here? It is quite funny.
Yeah.
I don't want to be racist, but it's a very unlikely kind of situation, especially with the hairstyle too. There's just something about it where it's just kind of like this is too much out of central casting.
Yeah.
I know she's not fixing no damn computers.
Career in the technology industry, but don't have previous experience or a degree, then Course Careers is here to help. They're replacing college as the modern way people are starting careers, and it's so simple. All you do is go through an affordable online course where you learn everything required to actually do the job. Then they help you land a position by partnering with companies who drop their degree and experience requirements to hire Course Career graduates in entry-level positions and internships.
This is actually, this is actually a good idea. I actually dig this. What it is that he's trying to sell us right now, the appetizer sale. I actually dig this because, and I've said I think that if higher education, the college and university system, if it does not make significant changes in the way that they conduct themselves, I'm saying within the next 20 years, it's done. So now there is some reason to think that at least some of these institutions are starting to make adjustments. But what these institutions of higher education need to recognize is that they're competing against this also, right? Where in the past, say you got laid off, you'd go back to college, real college, maybe take some student loans out, get you another degree. What they're saying is, don't spend the money, on college tuition. Here's a cheaper, easier way, and actually directly connected to the kind of job that you actually want, because we're going to just teach you the skills and then employ you. That is, it's streamlined, it's very direct, and there's no sort of red tape or rigmarole. So I actually like, if this thing actually works the way that they're talking about, this is good. This is good for folks that are trying to get these skills, trying to get, a different job, trying to skill up, as you say, frequently. This might be a way to do that. Cost-effective way to do it. So. I'm going to tell you, going to college, I'm going to tell you, going to college and then finding yourself a job after you go to college is wrought with abstraction. There is nothing clear, direct, or, automatic, streamlined. There's nothing that way about it. It's like rolling a dice. You got the education, but you still like rolling the dice. It's oh, all right, go ahead.
Style of career that you can be prepared for with course careers. If you want to start a career in the technology industry but don't have previous experience or a degree, then Course Careers is here to help. They're replacing college as the modern way people are starting careers, and it's so simple. All you do is go through an affordable online course where you learn everything required to actually do the job. Then they help you land a position by partnering with companies who drop their degree and experience requirements to hire course career graduates in entry-level positions and internships. Checking out some of their stories of people like Nyla, who went from being a 19-year-old Starbucks barista to making over $60,000 in a remote technology sales career, or Ben, who went from being a college dropout working as a middle school janitor to making $80K as a tech sales rep working fully remote. Go to coursecareers.com, link in bio.
Middle school janitor. Like, does it matter where the janitor stuff happens? That's kind of interesting.
To sign up for their free introductory course, where you'll learn exactly how you can start a technology career without a degree or.
So I got to add insult to injury. It's not enough that he was a janitor. He was a janitor at damn middle school.
That's messed up, man.
Previous experience. Remember to use code WORKS50 for $50 off their full course. In 2020, millions of people who were never allowed to before started working from home. By avoiding the distractions of the modern office, a lot of people realized that the tasks that they were completing as a part of their jobs were that of what the anthropologist David Graeber would consider complete bullshit. Most of the office jobs had workers performing tasks that fell into one of the following categories outlined in the book by the same name. Flunkies who only serve to make their superiors feel important, i.e. receptionists, administrative assistants, and doormen. You don't need someone to hold the door for you when everybody is working from home, and a sales platform switching board could do most of the day-to-day work of a receptionist. Box tickers who only exist to create the appearance something useful is being done, like creating company newsletters or organizing company culture events. And taskmasters who exist to make themselves look busy by standing over their subordinates to keep them on task, but only ever end up distracting those workers or slowing them down because they themselves don't want to look like they have nothing left to do.
Yeah, and this is again pointing out the inefficiencies of an office. It's like looking at a computer program and pointing out the bugs. Not every computer program is limited, right? So why am I likening the Office of Computer program? Well, it's there for a purpose. It was supposed to create a particular output, and that input that was required was communication and collaboration amongst people. Easiest way to do it is to put them into a building, divide this building into offices and cubicles, departments, you have filing cabinets and such and such. But if you just look at that programmatically, yes, there's going to be many flaws, many bugs, many things, opportunities for exploits, if you will, by various viruses, such as the Taskmaster who does nothing and all the other people that were kind of mentioned there. Well, yeah, a good critique of The Office. I don't know. Any comments?
Yeah, totally. A lot of that stuff. Yeah, I mean, I just don't like I don't like office politics. I shouldn't even call it office politics. Workplace politics. Because okay, so in academia, for instance, you still have all of the same bogus stuff going on, where people that are insecure or felt that they were always slighted in their life, or they spent more time inside of a locker when they were in high school, than outside of the locker, I guess. People that were bullied, people that maybe they were late bloomers, whatever it is. You see all these like goofy manifestations of people that haven't, like, I don't know, haven't gotten any therapy, I guess. I don't know. They just haven't dealt with their stuff. So all that stuff plays itself out. And it's super obvious what's going on. It all plays itself out.
Indeed.
In front of, right in front of everybody. And they think that, it's not obvious what it is that's going on, but everybody can just see straight through it, at least people that are paying attention. So it just makes all of that stuff take up too much space. And I just don't have any energy for that. I'm here to do my job. I'm here to do a good job, and I don't want to deal with any BS. So being able to do as much as I can remotely is a great benefit.
They took our jobs.
Most jobs in the modern office involve doing some of these tasks, but by working from home, there's less need for them to exist. A lot of employees very quickly found out that they did not need 40 hours or more in the office every week to get their work done. They could just finish it in half the time, and all the other hours were wasted on pointless meetings that could have been an email and any of the other bullshit tasks that modern workers partake in. Work from home did not get rid of the goons, who were people like corporate lawyers who only exist to protect the company from other goons, or the duct tapers, who are the people that spend all of their time fixing the problems of everybody else. So if you want bullshit job security, try and make yourself one of these. For the employees that found a whole lot of extra hours in their day.
So I've been watching the, and actually I just concluded it. I think, I guess this series is not on anymore, on TV anymore. The USA series Suits, I think it concluded in 2017 or 2018. But I binge watched it. I mean, I guess I was watching like a couple episodes a night. But it's like my relaxing wind down time, or like I'll be practicing or something and I'll have a show on or something. But I watched it was 8 seasons, and it was actually a really good series, really good writing, and they had some interesting issues that each one of the characters kind of was dealing with from when they were a kid, or but it's a law firm. What's happening, Bob? Thank you for that support. But it's like it's a law firm, and they're battling against other law firms, and there's all this stuff. But even there, with as great a lawyers as they are, and a bunch of them are like Harvard lawyers and stuff, they still have all the same garbage stuff. It's still all the same drama and goofy human stuff. And and it's just like no matter no matter what the gig is, I guess you're just gonna have to deal with that stuff if your job is going to be the kind of job where you go to an office consistently, you go to a location, and you have to associate with these people. One benefit of me working in academia is, though I do have to see other folks, it's really a limited amount of time that I actually see other colleagues. It's actually pretty limited. Really, I go in, I set my own schedule, I teach my students, I teach my classes, and then every once in a while I have to meet with, maybe the director, or I'll meet with, other area heads, or, we'll have like a faculty meeting for everybody. But that stuff is actually not that often. It's not like in an office setting where like every week you have like some stupid meeting, and you start the day with like a morning meeting and have to sit around the table with a bunch of people that you can't stand looking at. It's not, at least it's not that. I don't know if I could handle that, man.
Yep. I mean, I have to handle it. So going to clients, having meetings where in other words, there's internal BS meetings, and then there's you trying to meet with a client or potential client, or trying to facilitate some kind of deal or something like that. And those kinds of deals, those kinds of meetings, those kinds of things, yeah, I don't mind them at all, right? They're a challenge. There's something actually going on, right? But last week I had to go for right after I came back from Ghana, I had to travel and was in a hotel a couple of days in more of a corporate meeting where it wasn't about anything other than let's come through and review some numbers, and it's going to be a 2-day thing. We're going to dinner the first night, and that whole the whole
But you loved
thing.
it. That was like it was your favorite thing.
Oh, yeah, great. It was
Loved it.
was excellent. I did skip the dinner part of it. I definitely did skip the dinner part of it because I had to catch up on real work or whatever they call it. And yes, a big part of it was tedious. One aspect of what you mentioned regarding the inherent childishness, or shall I just say humanity, that you're going to find regardless of the organization, regardless of the level of the organization, regardless of the high IQ-ness of the people or whatnot, you're going to find that inherent humanity. It is something, for some kinds of people like myself, it does offer some kind of emboldening in a certain sense, in the sense that, look, everyone here, okay, it's got all kinds of weird skeletons in their closet / whatever's, and ways in which, things that perhaps the legitimately that they did that got overlooked, or whatever the hell it may be, right? Such that you don't have to check yourself as much regarding you doing things your own way or whatever, right? And that's just a little comment there I wanted to make, that everyone's got some whatever, some crap in their crack, and yeah, the longer you kind of around, the more you know about it, and then a good organization or good organizational politics is one that is quite aware of that fact, where there's no particular clique trying to feel holier than thou. It's like, no, we all got out. We're all full of BS here. We know it. That's a very good vibe, if that makes sense. Right? That's kind of like the best vibe you can get socially. It's a vibe that doesn't take itself too goddamn seriously or tries to pretend too much. But anyways, it was fun last week, Dr. Thunder. You should have been there.
just finish it in half the time, and all the other hours were wasted on pointless meetings that could have been an email and any of the other bullshit tasks that modern workers partake in. Work from home did not get rid of the goons, who were people like corporate lawyers who only exist to protect the company from other goons, or the duct tapers, who are the people that spend all of their time fixing the problems of everybody else. So if you want bullshit job security, try and make yourself one of these. For the employees that found a whole lot of extra hours in their day, they now had to decide what to do with it. An internal survey of 3,000 workers conducted by the software firm Qualtrics has shown what it was that people decided to do. 40% said that work had become less important to them in the past 3 years, and that they would prefer to spend the extra hours exercising, cleaning their home, going for a walk, or sleeping when they had the opportunity to.
What was up with
25%
that?
said that work had become more
What was up with that chiseled jawline, bro?
Well, he's
Why
working
this
out.
have to
He's
do
spending
with
his
the
time.
chisel?
He's spending his time working out. He's bettering his life.
They
He's
put a picture of a
practicing
Giga
self-care.
Chad up there.
what to do with it. An internal survey of 3,000 workers conducted by the software firm Qualtrics has shown what it was that people decided to do. 40% said that work had become less important to them in the past 3 years, and that they would prefer to spend the extra hours exercising, cleaning their home, going for a walk, or sleeping when they had the opportunity to. 25% said that work had become more important to them, and that they would look for additional responsibilities to take on in the spare hours. Most of all, 36% said that their career ambitions had waned, and that the typical progression of climbing the corporate ladder
Interesting. The 36%. We kind of estimated like a 40, but let's see. That's not bad.
had become less important to them over the past 3 years. Those are some pretty smart workers, and it was creating the same problem that the prestigious legal firms and investment banks were complaining about too. Most people are no longer willing to work extra hours and accept additional stress to chase a promotion, and a lot of workers won't even accept a promotion if they are offered one because climbing the corporate ladder is not as appealing as it once was. There are 4
Hey, I
reasons
think
that
that was
business
a
analysts
scene
have
from
identified.
Suits. That might have been a scene from Suits.
I think they've shown a couple. I think they've shown a couple before.
Complaining about too.
Hold on.
Most people are no longer willing to work extra hours and accept additional stress to chase a promotion, and a lot of workers won't even accept a promotion if they are offered one because climbing the corporate
Oh, no, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. I'm sorry.
ladder is not as appealing as it once was. There are 4 reasons that business analysts have identified as the leading causes of this trend. The most damaging to traditional corporate culture is that people no longer see the financial benefits of moving up the corporate ladder. Typically, managers and senior executives earn more than their subordinates, but modern salespeople, tech workers, and tradespeople are bucking that trend, especially in high-demand industries. A lot of workers are preferring to reskill into an in-demand role, where they can earn variable compensation based on the overtime hours they put in and the performance they achieve.
Hey, stop here.
People with
It kind of reminds me of so everyone knows I like The Office, the show The Office. So see how this works. So Mike, so Dunder Mifflin is sold to Sabre, and Sabre, which really sells, makes printers and stuff like that, and ink cartridges, So Sabre buys a paper company. Kind of makes sense, and kind of saves them from going bankrupt or whatever. So then what ends up happening is Sabre. So before that, Jim and Michael Scott were both the manager, but one of them was like more of like big picture, and the other one was more like day to day. But they were basically on the same on the same level. So then what happens is they get bought by Sabre. Then the CEO of Sabre, she says, "You guys have the same job. You're gonna have to do something about this." So they decide that Michael was going to. So Michael discovers that Sabre's policies don't cap sales like they were capped before. So he could make more money than being the manager as a salesman. So then he does that, But then what ends up happening is, but then, he could get bossed around by Jim because now Jim was actually boss. So then you don't want to do that anymore. So then he ends up being manager again. But, Jim is cashing these huge checks with no cap. And so now he's making more money than the manager. And you create these, it was a good incentive because it made the salesmen try to sell harder, but you create a weird dynamic because really the manager should make more money than the salesman.
It's a dynamic, I think, that is becoming more, well, so amongst, let's say, purely sales organizations, like let's say in the car sales company or whatever, there's always been this divide. They call it individual contributor or management, right? And it was always a give or take, or 50-50 or whatever, depending on the industry, that, there's no need to move to management. As a matter of fact, remain an individual contributor in a particular kind of industry, you could make more money, right? You have a territory, you make a deal, you got the book of business, and you make a whole lot of money, right? So in certain industries, that kind of dynamic has always been there. A place where it's now becoming also more prevalent is in the tech industry. The category that is apt that this guy mentioned here was the category of the cleaners. I think he called them the cleaners or the whatever, the fixers, the people who fix other people's problems, right? In the tech industry, that means the people who actually do the work, right? The engineers that actually do the work, let's say, right? Because it's like 80% of engineers don't actually do the work. Shout out to the tech lead. So engineers like the tech lead, and people will know the tech lead here as a YouTube channel. Engineers like the tech lead, whom were highly competent technical engineers that actually did the work, or was the only person who knew what this whole kind of crazy spaghetti code was doing at Facebook or something. Those people get paid more than the managers, right? So that's why the guy kind of mentioned tech, sales, and certain other kinds of places where you can be in a position where if you find the right niche, yeah, your skill is highly valuable. If they funnel you into this, come start being a manager, and then you lose your skills because you actually need to be sharp in these engineering skills, for example, so that if you start like after 2 years, you get funneled into some particular place, they don't allow you don't focus on getting your license, for example, and certain other things. You end up being the manager of whatever, and there's the tech lead, making $750,000 a year, and you're not quite making that. But yeah, it's an interesting thing. Let us continue. Ladies and gentlemen, shout out to Bob officially again. But yeah, go ahead. Send that super chat.
With experience in tech, pharmaceuticals, or finance could become managers, or they could cross-skill into sales and become salaried plus commission reps. They will get a lower base wage, but even average performers can earn $250,000 to $500,000 a year in commissions, putting them well ahead of any mid-level manager in the same industry. Doing a role where they are not responsible for the performance of any subordinates also means that they are free from the stress of dealing with workers who don't want to put in any overtime or work towards getting a promotion. Instead, they are only responsible for themselves and their work. If they want to make a lot more money one month, they can hustle like crazy and work on closing more sales or doing more overtime. If they want more work-life
and you can do all the cocaine you want,
balance, they won't be letting down a team beneath them. Skilled, non-managerial roles in certain fields and sales roles are also safer during financial slowdowns as compared to middle managers.
I don't know if you're muted or just checking your microphone there.
Yeah, I was muted. What's happening?
Oh, no. Okay, good. We'll play a little bit more.
Company can operate without team leaders, but it can't operate if nobody is selling its product. For young workers who have lived through 2 big downturns during their careers, a job that is safe during bad times is more valuable than a job that pays a little bit more. Some really cunning workers have made junior jobs significantly more lucrative than managerial jobs by simply working 2 of them.
Yep. This is another approach that I highly recommend. Especially if you have the opportunity to work remotely now, okay? and you're in a field such as this kind of tech fields where, especially IT tech, right, where there's a lot of certifications and where you can do these things remotely for different companies, right? It doesn't matter that you work for this other small app on your time off and you're moonlighting for whatever. Get 3 jobs, okay? Get that money, make more than your manager, and don't worry about it. Plus, also they mentioned the whole selling thing, which that's a perennial good idea is to learn how to sell. But what do you think about 2 jobs, 3 jobs, 7 jobs?
Hey, I'm a fan. Uh, so I got my YouTube job. Let's see here. I got my see what else other jobs I got. I got my teaching job. See, I got my freelance musician job. I got my music production job. I got my, you know, I'm not doing the church music thing anymore. At least not on a weekly basis. I actually have this big project that I'm working on right now. I've written um, it's a black gospel setting of an Orthodox liturgy, in particular a vesperal liturgy, and not the whole liturgy, but sort of excerpts from it. It's called How Sweet the Sound. It's a project, and I'm taking the show on the road, as it were, and Seattle and Portland in February for this. So I'm still doing that, but keep it happening. And I'm an author, so I guess that's a job.
Jobs. Yes, indeed. So let's see if he makes any more commentary on this junior workers taking a couple of jobs aspect.
During bad times is more valuable than a job that pays a little bit more. Some really cunning workers have made junior jobs significantly more lucrative than managerial jobs by simply working 2 of them. Working from home has kicked off a new trend that is particularly popular with tech workers who work 2 full-time jobs with 2 companies simultaneously and take home 2 salaries. Entire online forums have sprung up in the past 2 years for workers to discuss this practice and share tips and tricks on how to find jobs that can be done in parallel and keep up with the workload once they've secured the roles. Some people on these forums claim to be working as many as 5 jobs simultaneously by committing 60 to 70 hours a week in their home offices. Just one job can be a lot of work, but highly experienced employees have claimed that the workload and stress of working 2 or 3 junior development roles is still less than working 1 senior development or team lead role. For motivated workers that want to put in the hours, the multiple job route is more financially rewarding.
Hey, stop right there.
Job security.
He's saying a lot of stuff. That's there's a lot of good information, actually. He's trying to slide some quick stuff past us and all that. That's fine, but there's actually quite a bit of substance to this. This idea that 2 or 3 kind of junior level kind of jobs is less stressful than 1 senior level job, and you end up getting paid more for the 3 junior level jobs.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot to that. There's a lot to that. I thought about this too, like even in playing, playing in several different bands or doing whatever. I wouldn't have to be it's probably better for me to be a sideman in a bunch of bands than to be the head cat in somebody else's band. And I'm the MD in that band, but that also means that I can't take any of these other gigs because I got to be on call. I have to always be available. I got a bunch of extra responsibilities. If cats don't show up for the gig, I got to find a replacement, blah, blah, blah. right? It's probably better to just be like a mercenary kind of cat, and you don't really care. It's like, hey, I'm just here to play the gig, and when I'm done, I don't have to think about you anymore. uh, and then it just you can do a bunch of gigs like that, you know. So that's an interesting uh, approach, and you travel light because it's not, you know, uh, it's not the kind of heavy stress and stuff involved with it. You
Yep,
know,
yep. Yeah, he does have some good points.
Experienced employees have claimed that the workload and stress of working 2 or 3 junior development roles is still less than working 1 senior development or team lead role. For motivated workers that want to put in the hours, the multiple job route is more financially rewarding, and it provides them additional job security because if they get laid off from one job, they still have 1 or 2 salaries to fall back on.
Ever since COVID started, what we've seen is that candidates are really only taking remote or hybrid jobs. To be competitive in this market, companies really do have to be either hybrid at the minimum or provide remote work opportunities.
Reason number 2 is that modern workers have more entrepreneurial ambitions than the generations that came before them. The biggest selling point for young workers in the most prestigious firms in the country are not career advancements, but instead the exit opportunities. From my own experience at 2 different investment banks, most junior bankers do not want a career in investment banking, no matter how well compensated some senior bankers can be. Most banking analysts only want to work in the industry for 2 to 5 years and use that job experience to qualify as a role as a financial executive like a CFO for a medium-sized company or work in private equity or hedge funds. Or they want to start their own company armed with the detailed industry knowledge on how to raise capital from investors and structure a business for growth. The entrepreneurial spirit is not only alive and well amongst finance bros, the rate at which people report wanting to start their own business has shot up to its highest level ever. There were a record 5.4 million business ID numbers created in 2021, with 2022 expected to have broken that record further. Sometimes entrepreneurship is not all that it's cracked up to be, and I would encourage caution to anybody thinking of giving up a stable 9-to-5 job to start their own business. But smart decision or not, people are doing it.
Any thoughts on this seeming burst of entrepreneurial spirit going on here?
yeah. So I like the last thing that he said, which was you might want to keep your job. You might want to keep your 9-to-5 job while you're figuring this out. You know, a 9-to-5 job that has enough flexibility so that you could still and so that you still have enough energy to pursue some of these other things. Because if you're like a 9-to-5 doing manual labor, then you probably won't have energy to pursue any of these other things that you want to do. I like the idea of, you know, you don't leave something until you really know you got the bird in the hand. You know, you have you know, you have a certain amount of success. You know, you got money coming in, you have clients, you've got all this stuff. You know, like you leave the job because you can't afford to do the job anymore because you're making so much money, and you lose the money, all the more money that you'd be making if you didn't have to keep working this job. That's when you leave the job, in my mind.
Yep. Well put.
Caution be damned. The third reason people are unwilling to chase promotions is because it ironically makes it harder for them to progress their career. This is a tricky one, so follow along here. The best way for someone who only wants to work the 9-to-5 job to increase their salary is to change companies every 2 years. Employees that stick with their companies for longer than that end up earning a mind-blowing 50% less than their peers who were less loyal and were constantly shopping around for better offers from different employers. The real trick is to do this while maintaining a good relationship with the companies and managers they move between.
So see, here's the thing. Again, this is that, you know, the company is patting you on the back because you're so loyal, and then they, they create these, um, ethical dilemmas or whatever. You shouldn't be just, applying for jobs just to leverage them against your own job, all this kind of stuff. But all of them cats, they did that. Matter of fact, your new manager that just came in after only working at the last company for 2 years, he just got done pulling the same stuff. But then he's telling you, that the company appreciate, rewards loyalty. No, they don't. They're gonna pay you 50% less than cats that jumped around. And of course, this is actually, this is a lot of the reason why this supposed wage gap, gender wage gap, is because women don't want to move. They want to just stay in the same job. But dudes will just keep moving around. And not every dude, by the way, but a certain kind of guy would just keep moving around. And anyhow.
I want to anticipate perhaps when he's saying that people don't want to stay long or don't want to accept promotions because they want a job hop. The last thing he said was best way to job hop is to keep good relationships going. And I think you can possibly, and I don't know if he'll say this next or not, but it is possible to keep good relationships with your employer if you don't take management positions and then leave, right? That if you just stay, you're a good employer, but you didn't take any extra responsibility to management, whatever, and then you left, it's more likely that you don't ruffle any feathers as opposed to taking charge of their new team of whatever's, and then you dump and run. I don't know if he'll say that, but let's see.
Employees that stick with their companies for longer than that end up earning a mind-blowing 50% less than their peers who were less loyal and were constantly shopping around for better offers from different employers. The real trick is to do this while maintaining a good relationship with the companies and managers they move between. Getting a promotion in a company resets the clock on when a smart employee can switch companies without leaving a bad impression with their current employer. If someone is planning to make the scheduled job hop, but they are only a month into their new role after receiving a promotion, they are
slightly different. Like, yes, if you get that promotion, that's like a new kind of incentive, like a new loyalty juice that they got infused with, and they expect, I just promoted you. Are you just gonna leave? Okay, yeah, kind of same thing. Okay.
Make the scheduled job hop, but they are only a month into their new role after receiving a promotion, they are unlikely to get a good reference from their outgoing company, because now that company has to find a new employee for a job that was only just filled. A bad reference from a frustrated ex-manager will make it harder to land the new job and negotiate a competitive salary. If the employee just stays in their current role and passes up any promotions, they can rely on a good reference from the same manager that they worked under the entire time. The fourth reason that people are no longer willing to work for a promotion is simply because they don't want them. More people are choosing mental health and free time over money and opportunity, because being removed from the corporate bubble has made them realize that there is much more to life than making as much money as they possibly can. A lot of young workers have become disenfranchised because they realize no matter how...
Well, you don't think people are going for the mental health thing? Shout out Juju on the beat. Dusty Juju in the building. Yeah, so I think that
more people are choosing self-love and self-care.
Self-care. I think this video is doing a good job at kind of really unearthing and drawing many of the through lines in this new work environment that we see, right? So the environment of job hopping, yes, we understand that. But some of the subtleties regarding, well, how does job hopping intertwine with this notion of not wanting promotions, right? I think he gave a good context for that. Like, okay, if I'm going to be job hopping, I don't want to take a promotion and then leave. So I'll just stay here, satisfy one particular manager for a while, be a good guy. 3 years and then go to the next and then go to the next. This idea of entrepreneurial and also this quote unquote self love or mental health are two sides of the same coin, right? The reason somebody wants to be like, you know what, F this, I don't want to be part of this corporate structure because I'm going to go start Apple is similar to F this, I don't want this corporate structure, I'm going to go hiking and surfing. Whatever, to each his own, right? But I think the impulse is similar. But of course, people have the annoying descriptors that they attach to it when they start attaching certain types of political, moral, value-based, like, oh, down with capitalism or some kind of BS, right? Then it gets stupid and weird and like, whatever, bro, you get a life, right? So, but insofar as it does highlight people exercising agency, then I think that overall it's a good thing. But that's so he successfully kind of dissed the bros, the hustle bros. Said something else also about finance bros going on, but he just kind of gave a better reason why you should be out there hustling while selling also his course stuff. We don't know what else he's gonna sell towards the end, but
he's gotta have it. I would be really surprised if he gets to the end and he ain't selling as hard or something.
Maybe he's selling. Maybe it's a long game. Maybe he's gonna get you to subscribe, and he's gonna get you. It's a funnel, right? There's a funnel game.
Hard they work, they're going to struggle to achieve traditional financial goals like buying a house and having a normal retirement, so they are seeking out easy work and pursuing alternative lifestyles like video gaming or low-budget travel by living in a converted van. As more workers learn of these 4 reasons to reject the traditional career promotions, companies are going to have to face some big problems. Promotions are the biggest incentives that large companies have to motivate non-executive level employees to do more than the bare minimum to not get fired. The promise of a promotion, if targets are met, is often cheaper than performance-based bonuses. Some companies pay their executives extremely high salaries, not because of the hard work they do, but because they want all of their employees to work like crazy for the chance that they too one day could be a fat cat.
Of digital marketing, and you get offered a promotion that's in IT because digital marketing has a lot of technical skills, then should I step out into IT if my goal is to be the CMO? And the answer is no, right? So if it's going to take you off your long-term path, you don't want to do that.
If people don't want the promotions or see that they will never make it to the level where they make more money for less work, then the whole system stops working and it spells the end of the traditional career. Workers have also realized that hard work alone will never make them a CEO, and becoming a highly compensated chief executive requires a totally different strategy from what you might expect, starting with an engineering degree instead of a business degree people would expect. If you want to find out the other 6 steps that 80% of Fortune 500 CEOs took to land their multi-million-dollar roles, then go and watch my video on how to become a CEO.
He's definitely selling a video. He's got strategies and stuff. Interesting that he mentioned having a technical background if you really want to go to if you want to get to the C-suite quicker. This is true, because it's the easiest way to get yourself into one of those categories he mentioned before. He mentioned the goons, which are the lawyers and such, and then he mentioned like the cleaner uppers, or people who actually do the work, and those people are people with technical skills. And by the way, whether it's engineering or law, those things tend to be kind of credentialed professionals. Where I'm a licensed lawyer, I'm a licensed this. Those people are just kind of valuable to the industry by definition, and hence they have a nice path to C-suitedom, if that's where they're going. And practitioners talking about a business plan. I wonder if that's an actual business plan, because business plans are kind of useless, right? They're not really worth the paper they're written on, because all business plans always work. But that's my that's my challenge. That's my hustle bro mentality, saying, hey, the only business plan is get a customer. That's it. But I don't know, Kaizo, you come in here towards the end. You've been listening. What do you have to say about the end of the 40-year career?
I'll stick into the last point that you stated, right? The first rule of business is just focusing on the client. Create a product, focus on the client, and create a product, focus on getting clients, and then keep refining that process and grow as is relevant. These plans and all these things, you don't need to have a plan that's written out. What you might need to do is create a business model that you operate under, but that has to be very fluid, right? Focus on that. In terms of the career and everything, first of all, I'm gonna go from very sort of low, low level stuff, right? There's nothing wrong with a 9 to 5, but it's not gonna make you rich, right? You live a nice, humble life. You retire at, like, I don't know, 75 or whatever age retirement is in your country, and you might get some pension, but it's never gonna be enough, right? All this stuff that happens in life, your kid gets sick, there's a weird disease somewhere there, money could have solved it, etc. So business is really the only way that you become financially free. And if you want to be financially free, you can, I say, start a business that you can afford, whether it's your time. So for example, if you, let's say, you move to Bali, right? Rent is cheap there, right? You can go do your yoga stuff because you're one of these, creative new age people, and you're kind of also fake. So you want to be around a certain environment. You go there, rent is cheap. You go and leverage the fact that the rent is cheap so that you can develop in yourself. You want to learn a skill like computing, become a digital nomad, then create a value product that has exponential value, etc. It doesn't really matter what you do. All I'm saying is, right, business is all about creating a product, and that product doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be a product that has a certain value, right? You increase the value based on, increase the price based on the amount of value you've added. Sell it, find clients. Once you've done that, you just grow as it need be. If you need to have overhead, you get a couple overhead, etc. So you just grow, right? But yeah, in terms of, nothing wrong with 9 to 5. If that's the life you want to lead, it's fine. But just know life will bring challenges, and you'll never have enough money, right? You don't want to be in a situation whereby you are in poverty, right? Anyways, yeah, that's my thoughts on that.
Poverty.
Requires a totally different strategy from what you might expect, starting with an engineering degree instead of a business degree people would expect. If you want to find out the other 6 steps that 80% of Fortune 500 CEOs took to land their multi-million-dollar roles, then go and watch my video on how to become a CEO. A special thanks again to Course Careers, who's preparing people for this new type of career, for making it possible for everybody to keep on learning how money works.
Did you hear me? I said I quit, Monty. And since I quit, I can do anything I want.
Is that
So definitely has a step-by-step guide there, Dr. Thunder, per your point regarding him selling things. Now, some of the interesting highlights of this video have to do with how, again, he tied the hopping from job to job culture with the economy, with the technology, with the pandemic, and all these other kinds of things. And then showing like the micro changes in behavior that have resulted from this. The 9 to 5 is not sustainable by definition because it is crumbling, right? So there's no need, no matter which way you look at it, right? The phenomenon is happening, right? The clouds are forming, okay? You can talk about pressure systems and this and that. Oh, the cloud is going to form. It's inevitable. It is quote unquote overdetermined. So the 9 to 5 job market is collapsing for several reasons. I think that this encourages people to be more entrepreneurial. Some people are taking advantage of it by doing a couple of jobs. It's something that I highly encourage. Typically, I always say to get something where you can get a certification because by definition, it makes you more valuable in the industry. The closest you can become, to that professional, either in the medical industry, the professional doctor, the registered nurse, whatever it is, a professional lawyer, professional whatever, a certified welder, a certified electrician, whatever it is. And that gives you immediately the opportunity to have as many jobs as you want, which is otherwise known as a business. And also this idea of being in business, which is a great practice of training yourself in the world of uncertainty, training yourself in the world of not a steady paycheck, because steady paycheck world is a straight line. I get this amount every month, right? Month after month, it's ticking on that line. It's just a straight line, horizontal line on that graph, steady, right? But you move in order to get exponential growth, you have to get into the chaos world, right? And being in the chaos world also gives you certain habits which are very beneficial, which can be simply summarized as saying you start to treat yourself as a business, right? You start to think of things about things in long term. You start to have a nice little runway of cash to be able to pay for certain expenses. You start to think about value creation rather than just what you actually have in the bank, right? In other words, thinking of investments and thinking of ways of increasing efficiency, expanding, blowing up. All these are a result of going into the world of chaos, the world of chaos where you're not guaranteed. And guess what? As Dr. Thunder mentioned, you don't have to quit your day job, so to speak. You can start training yourself slowly in the chaos world by, yes, I work as an electrician by day, but I also have an electrician side gig by night. That starts to teach me how to work a system of uncertainty where I don't know when I'm going to get the checks. I don't know how many clients I'm going to get every month after month. 1 year, 2 years, as you cultivate this client and do the whole product market fit or service market fit, that iteration that goes on between you and the client, whereby you continue to satisfy them more, you're going to get to the point where this side job is now getting you perhaps more than the other job, and you have trained yourself to be that well-honed business like a machine where you can look at 2-year projections, understand cash flow, and all these other kinds of things. But yeah, go ahead, Kaizo.
Yeah, so actually, what a lot of so-called Black women have a lot of businesses. However, one of the issues with all these businesses that Black women have is they're not scalable because a lot of them don't understand how money works. Right? They're expecting that a so-called entrepreneurship works the same way as a 9-to-5. They're expecting a regular they're expecting a frequent regular income, right, from their businesses, as opposed to preparing themselves to weather the storm a little bit longer, then also getting the money across time. So essentially what that means is they can't even cover their costs, so they can't actually grow. So they're kind of operating at a very sort of client to client in a very small way, rather than being able to reinvest that money that they make into the business, because they don't know how to sort of live transtemporally.
Yeah, and this is one aspect in which at least one of the parameters that leads to this kind of a situation can be addressed at the planning phase. I know we just poo-pooed planning, but at least, we poo-poo kind of extensive planning, writing things down, all that kind of stuff. But the planning phase, meaning you don't just get into your head that you're going to start a scrapbooking store because you love scrapbooking or some bullshit like that, right? It's like, you don't just do silly stuff like that. Like, or again, you're going to be the 10,000th person in your neighborhood that has an Instagram store that sells weave, right? It's like, come on. What are the margins and the chances of that on that, right? Or you could find something really boring, but that you understand, and it's a laundromat, for example, and you're like, hey, you know what? I've been studying these laundromats. I hate laundromats. I hate laundry. But here's what I think about the business. Here's how I think it's going to run. Okay. And I think within 5 years, if I just operate these simple steps, right? I understand the operating costs very well. I've actually secured the property. Okay. I've secured this property here, which is kind of zoned for commercial use. I'm just waiting for what to do with it. And I think definitely this laundromat business will definitely more than cover the costs, right? The cash flow will cover debt service and other costs easily, and then give me extra, blah, blah, blah. And when things like that are certain, then boom, you jump into it, you start acting. Thinking that, my scrapbook business is just going to blossom in downtown Berkeley. Like, why? And I think a lot of people get into that.
Yeah, and then also, let's say it's laundromat. Find out again, I'm not saying that this doesn't exist in the market. That's not what I'm saying. But let's assume it doesn't in the area a region that you're in, right? On Saturdays, on Sundays, right, or Friday evening, you pay your little son or whatever, the neighbor's son, to go and you offer free deliveries on pickups and deliveries on those days, right? And that's going to obviously increase your loyal customers and clients. People don't want to go take their clothes to the laundromat, but if you do that for them, they're willing to pay a little bit extra to have that service regularized in that easy way, right? So your dusty son understands business now, because you love Black boys, and you gain more clients, reliable clients.
Yeah, me and my wife kind of just did a quick napkin calculation on a particular business recently. Like, in Ghana, we noticed that in particular neighborhoods, right, there are like little play centers where you have like, swings, all these different kind of fun little things. Kind of think of it like a mini amusement park for kids, for toddler type people, right? And they charge kind of like a decent rate. And we did like, we just kind of did the math on it. Like, okay, what does it cost to have this kind of to rent this kind of a place? How many kids and what is the minimum amount of time they spend there? Oh, these kids are paying like, oh, interesting. They're paying like they're paying, $10 an hour or something, right? And average kid 2 hours. Okay, what days of operation? And you look at it, and then you come up with the cost of that kind of business. And we were quickly able to see that that's actually a quite good business. Okay, if I, with subject to certain things, like got to verify exactly what the cost of certain things are. But the way we looked at it was like, well, that's a great business. You might find simple ones like this when you get the capital, capital is the goal of this, by the way. All that, get a certification and then get 10 jobs, is to get capital, because capital is optionality, meaning I can look out into the world and I can decide, what do I want to do? Do I want to rent this space and start a little daycare while also building this other thing and also doing this other thing and the other thing? Yes, you can, you should, and you only get there with capital. Dr. Thunder, what are your closing thoughts? You're out there eating Wendy's and buying peace leave out there in Ohio, but
no.
Hey, come on, respect Dr. Thunder. Can't be using super chat money that way. His wife will find out.
Anyhow, one of those things you said was correct. I was out there buying Wendy's, not buying Wendy, buying Wendy's.
all right.
Oh wow! So
Anyhow,
please,
but anyhow, yeah, yeah. So it's funny because he started out by criticizing Hustle Bros, but we've discovered that that's actually the way to do it, is by being a hustle bro. I mean, you have to have multiple things going on at the same time. If you have an idea for a business, that's great. Keep your job. You're going to have to work a lot of extra hours. You're going to have to do a lot of stuff that most people don't want to do, and it's going to take longer and probably be more expensive than you think. So that's basically what it is. Now, as far as sort of disconnecting from or rather becoming more remote, let's put it that way, with the way that you work, there's lots of benefits. I like this idea also of having 3 positions where you've created the possibility by doing a lot of stuff remotely of having these three jobs. You don't necessarily have to be at a particular place to do them, and you can make more money with less stress than one senior position. So there was a lot of good stuff that was said. I mean, I was kind of clowning the dude for fun at the beginning, but you could tell that he had something to sell, but you just wondered when it was gonna emerge. But it was good. I thought it was a good video.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, until next Wednesday, where we're going to be hitting you with another riveting episode of Getting Ish Done, 6:30 or 7 Pacific time. And that's, I think going forward, we're going to just be doing 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is 7 Pacific time, right? And this is the premium content when it comes to keeping things simple, actionable, measurable when it comes to getting things done. Okay, how to put one foot in front of the other, how to take yourself to the next level in a way that, again, is simple, measurable, actionable, realistic, not pie in the sky. And we cover all aspects, whether it be understanding your personality and the personality of others, understanding your strengths and your weaknesses, understanding how the corporate business works, understanding how finance works, and everything else, ladies and gentlemen. Until that time, shout out again to the super chats. Okay, we got Bob starting us off early. Bob starting us off early with the super chat. And then we had Juju on the beat. She's out there in these YouTube streets doing her thing. And shout out to everyone else in the chat, Ray Hamna, practitioner, and what have you. We are out, I believe.
Peace.